Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight and spending a bit of your time. As I know, we all have pretty busy schedules, and I know there's a lot of things to do. We have a bunch of moms online, so they have their kids hopefully asleep or taken care of right now. So my name is Dr. Brett Fusco. I'm a chiropractor in the Edmonton area. I was born in Edmonton, raised in St. Albert, got all my schooling and came back, and I practice now. I've been practicing for 3 years as a chiropractor. As a chiropractor, prevention is a big word that comes out of our mouths a lot. Our ultimate goal with our patients is to have them on what we call a maintenance or prevention care plan. And what that is that we teach our patients and work with our patients to have them healthy and not be getting sick. It is a lot easier to treat and maintain a healthy lifestyle than it is to treat somebody when they're sick or become diseased. And if anybody's been sick, we all know it sucks. So we should be trying as hard as we can to keep ourselves very healthy. So as a chiropractor, prevention is at the basis of everything we do. Everything we do is to help and teach people to make their lives a little bit better. And a lot of these changes come in different ways. Chiropractic is one aspect of true health. True health comes in so many different varieties, ranging from exercise, water intake, sleep, de-stressing. All these things come together to create this full picture. So chiropractic is one aspect, but hands down the biggest aspect of prevention across the board is nutrition and what we put into our bodies. Our bodies respond. We always heard that really bad analogy is we are what we eat, right? And it's very true, as our body cells change over all the time. The cells in our mouth are constantly changing. Our nerve cells change very slowly over years, but they do change, and the same thing with our bone cells. In fact, every 3 to 4 months, our body basically changes over completely. So if you've ever heard anybody talk about some sort of workout or exercise plan, they always say 3 to 4 months, because that's how long it takes for your body to truly turn over and become new and become masters, whatever task or it could even be a hobby that you're doing. So the reason why we're all here is because of Juice Plus. Juice Plus is something I got introduced to 13 years ago, and I've been on ever since because of the changes that it's done for me. In my practice, it is the only thing I recommend in the form of nutrition to my patients, and it's because I live it and I believe in it so heavily. So what is Juice Plus? Juice Plus is 30 different fruits, vegetables, berries, and grains that are grown until they're fully ripened. They're ground up whole, meaning they use the peels, the seeds that they're good for. They use the entire plant rather than just isolating certain aspects of it. They then dehydrate this big goop that they made out of this big grinder. They do it at a low temperature, so the water is not boiled out. What this low temperature does is it keeps the fruit in a live format. And this is actually live food. It has live enzymes to it, and if you leave it out, it will become eaten. And then it is dried and put into either a capsule or chewable. So it's a very simple process. We come back at it. We have a lot of problems with our food being shipped from far distances and treated with chemicals to make it last longer, have a shelf life, to look ripe. And the fact is that our food is becoming less and less packed with nutrients. It's becoming depleted over time. So this product, Juice Plus, is such a big thing in my life because it helps people bridge the gap between what they're supposed to be getting, what they think they're getting, and what they actually are getting. It gives people a simple solution to feed themselves and their families and their loved ones with what they need to keep themselves healthy, or to be a big basis of prevention. One of the other big kickers of this for me as a doctor is that I need to be able to have a product that has research behind it. If it doesn't have research, I cannot use it. I cannot use it at all, because if somebody comes to me and says, yeah, you're saying all this, but do you have proof? Of Juice Plus, there's already over 32 peer-reviewed studies that are published in high-quality journals, and I can just drop them in front of you and go, yeah, here's the evidence, here's the proof. And that is such a powerful thing, because there's not a lot of products in the market that can do that, if any. Another big one is anybody sports fans, anybody that's watched baseball this last little bit, or even listened to the stuff that's going on with the Olympics with Russia and how they're getting kicked by the anti-doping agencies, is that a lot of athletes and high-end athletes take a risk when they're taking in a new supplement or a new type of protein powder or something, if it doesn't have, if it's not regulated to say what's in it is actually in it, they can get dinged. And there was a bunch of baseball players this last year that claimed ignorance, of saying, I didn't know. And I don't know what the truth is behind that, but the one true thing came out is that if it's not NSF certified, meaning that they don't have a third party that comes in and tests the quality of it, they're at risk to get dinged by taking something that could breach the anti-doping protocol. And what NSF does in a product like this is it guarantees that what is on the bottle or is said on the bottle is actually in the product itself, and that is not contaminated with heavy metals. It is a high quality from production to doorstep. And that makes sure that my patients, when I recommend this to them, they're getting exactly what they're supposed to be getting in the highest quality possible. So to move on, we're going to have 3 different speakers tonight. They're all different people from different backgrounds, different perspectives, and I think it's really important that we hear things from different perspectives, because it's so nice. We may not be able to agree with one person and fully understand where they're coming from, but we can always see from other people's perspective, especially if they're similar to you. So first up here is going to be Crystal Blatz. Crystal, if you can unmute yourself here. And she's going to be talking today. And go ahead, Crystal.
Hi. So I guess Brett asked me to kind of talk about what prevention means to me. And in thinking about it, it took me a while to really come up with a definition or a belief of what prevention is. But basically, I view prevention as being active and conscious in your day-to-day lives. And I don't necessarily mean being physically active, but just being conscious and making decisions, because it's so easy in life to just get swept up in the hecticness of life and just go remotely through our day-to-day business, whether it be going to work, making lunch, or buying lunch, or having a coffee, without really thinking about those effects on your body. But and then I was kind of forced to think about prevention when I was diagnosed at 18 with Hashimoto's, because I was an athlete that played the highest level of baseball that you can in Alberta and for U of A, playing basketball. And at 18, I started passing out at practices and I couldn't figure it out. Eventually, it led to our Hashimoto's diagnosis. And so that's when I had to actually start being conscious about what I put into my body, what kind of exercise I did, the sleep that I got. And so as a mom now, an elementary teacher, a former elementary teacher, and a current coach for U18 women's softball here in Alberta, I really am taking prevention to the next step, because I was intimidated by prevention, the thought prevention, the word prevention, when I was first diagnosed. There's so many things out there that can get you scared of making a healthy choice or becoming active. So to me, the other key about prevention is to keep it simple. And Juice Plus really has allowed us to keep it simple and to consistently add 1 thing to our diet every day, or 3 things if you use all 3 of their products to our day. But with my young athletes, I've been with them for 7 years, and it was my mission to change the way they ate before games and at tournaments. Sometimes we have 4 games a day and we can't leave the diamond, and the only thing the diamond is serving hundreds of athletes is hot dogs and hamburgers and fries. Like, it's mind-boggling. It doesn't make sense to me. So something we do on our team now is we have nutrition parents, and they pack healthy foods for the girls to make their own lunches at the diamonds, because we noticed, and you all know, when you eat that crap, you don't play well, you don't feel well. So we just started making simple, easy changes in our lives that we could do that made a difference. So I think, again, I don't know if I'm rambling, I don't want to ramble, but prevention is just, for me, the easiest way to wrap my head around it was what was simple. Do what you can be consistent with. Too often I find in our society, many people jump off the deep end into some kind of crazy program that is too fast and too much too soon. And then we fail because it's just too much change at once. So really, for us and for my life and for my athletes. And for me, it's about being consistent and simple. So Brett, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's what I have to offer.
No, Crystal, that was great. Thank you very much. Some things that stood out for me with it was you talk about the simplicity, and yeah, it's really easy to sit there and say you need to change this, and this, but trying to follow through with that is not easy to do. If you can do one little thing, it really adds up in the end. So that was great. The other thing I noticed with you is that right away you're teaching others to bring better food to the games and to have their kids feeling a lot better too. So that's big.
It's crazy. It's crazy too. Like, and just having the kids having like, you know, that one change in bringing food to the games. And I would often like tell the parents who were in charge what to buy, so they had no choice. But then it started to filter down to what the parents ate. They stopped buying at the concession, right? They would start to bring extra so the parents would eat from our cooler too. So it was really cool to see that trickle down. And I mean, the level of their play was also affected, right? We weren't the team that was crashing at the fourth game. We were blowing that team, our opponent, out on the fourth game because we actually had energy to stay with us, right? So yeah, I don't know, kind of cool.
No, that's great. It's amazing to see. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Crystal.
You're welcome.
So yeah, next up we've got Jennifer Evans, who is a nurse, and she'll tell you a little bit more about her stuff.
Hi, thanks, Brett. Crystal, that was such a positive story, and I have some positives in mine, but I'm gonna start more with like a reality, I guess, on the healthcare system because I work directly in it. So for me, prevention, it literally means to keep something from happening. And in the hospitals right now, people are living, or they're so sick, like people are living longer, but absolutely not healthier. I've been working in healthcare for about 10 years, and the population I work mostly with now is the elderly population, and they have so many different diseases and are on so many medications. So I don't know, we need to be looking at something prevention-based because there's a time and a place, like I always say, for certain medications, but a lot of chronic disease can actually be prevented. So if we can do some education, because sometimes I think people know what they need to do, but for me, that's why I really, really like Juice Plus because of the tools. They're tools that you can actually utilize. Like physicians can always say, well, you need to eat better. Some people aren't quite sure where to go with that. At least here you can say, well, try this. It's like a catalyst. If you can try Juice Plus, or if you're using Tower Gardens with a family, what I did was I started putting Tower Gardens into schools and educating from the kind of bottom up from kids, because then they're going to talk to their parents about it, right? And just getting in the school system that way. In the long run, prevention's actually cheaper. It's hard to see the bigger picture all the time, but for myself as a registered nurse, I want to be educating about prevention. When I graduated, I wanted to actually be a prevention nurse, and they didn't have any jobs available. So our government and our healthcare system is very based upon treatments. And like I say, you want to do least invasive first. And if you need a medication, for sure, but there's other ways that you can go about things like we've mentioned with nutrition. I don't think it's been emphasized as much as it should be in our healthcare system. My story, I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome when I was 15 years old and struggled for 10 to 15 years, and no one really looked at nutrition until I saw a nutritionist. And so we need to make that kind of a priority in healthcare. So my mission is just keeping it simple, knowing that prevention has to be ongoing too, and it's over time. So if you do like one simple change at a time, then over time you'll have a whole bunch of simple changes that have turned into something bigger. You're always working at it and just keeping it simple and small. And just being aware of the bigger picture, because the healthcare system is quite broken. It's unfortunate, but it's such a reality. It's a system where I work in it and I see the baby boomers, like what's happening right now is, like I said, lots of disease, lots of medications, but we don't have enough beds for people who are sick necessarily, right? So people who have acute illnesses, We have people who are so sick with diseases, they don't have a place to go. So if you think of in 10 years when the baby boomers are all going to say maybe have more disease, if that's the trend that's going, where are we going to put everybody? And what's going to happen to the acute beds when people are actually sick? Because I heard from one of my girlfriends a few months ago, there was a 20-year-old that came in with a heart attack. Or you hear stories about the child that had a stroke. And so these things can actually be prevented, right? So it's just taking those simple things. And I guess what really hit with me was a few years ago, Juice Plus came in at the most interesting time. I was a transition coordinator, placing people into higher levels of care because they couldn't take care of themselves any longer, depending on whatever their care needs are. And so nobody ever wants to send their family member to long-term care. Continuing care, it's the highest level, you need help with everything. And in the 10 years I've been in healthcare, I have never gotten emotional or cried in front of a family member, ever. And I used to work palliative care. And I finished a file for someone to go to long-term care, and she was totally cognitively intact, a lady in her 80s, and previously she was healthier. She had a bout of cancer, but she was able to get through that, and had some, high blood pressure. I don't remember everything that she had, but it's just kind of the story of her living on her own, and she was managing independently, and then she had a fall. And she came into the hospital, and long story short, months goes by, and she ends up in long-term care because a bone wasn't going to heal properly, and her cancer came back. And so when you're cognitively intact and you have to go somewhere where there's people who have dementia and their total care, it was devastating to see that she had to go there, and that her family wasn't able, they had to go there too because they all worked, everyone has a life, they weren't able to take care of her with the needs that she had at that point in time. And for me, it was just devastating because maybe there were some things along the way that could have been prevented. I'm not saying that it can, and it will, like cancers and arthritis and things healing, but maybe there was something, but the medical system couldn't help her. There was nothing that they could do to help heal that bone anymore. And it wasn't going to heal, so she was never going to walk again. And so she had to go somewhere where she was going to need the help. So for me, when I'm looking just at myself, I see this every day. I see these people on so many medications and they're so sick. And it's a reality. And we need to make prevention more of a priority. And that's why let's just use the simple tools that we have. And it can really make a huge difference. I've seen people who take Juice Plus consistently and they've gotten off their medicine or halved medications. And I'm not saying that it's a cure and it's going to do that for everybody. But it's really interesting to see when you use a tool and a catalyst of good nutrition, and then you're able to get off pharmaceuticals, which have side effects. So I'm not promising anything with medications, but I don't have any. I was taking a whole bunch of pain medication myself, and with my symptoms, I have chronic pain, but I don't anymore. Irritable bowel is pretty much non-existent, and I don't have those pharmaceuticals in my house anymore. So it's just something like I thought I was young and healthy, but there was things happening and symptoms inside my own body that were showing that I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was. And so just going back to prevention and keeping it simple, guys.
That's awesome.
Hopefully that helps.
No, that does a lot. Thank you very much, Jenna. That's great. One of the things that stood out for me on that one was the long term, the looking for something bigger. Very much in our society, everything is now. We want it right now. If it doesn't happen right now, it's not happening. They're one of those people that say go to the gym or something or do some exercise, and they give up 2 weeks in because it wasn't what they thought they were going to be. Why aren't I ripped already, kind of thing, right? So it's definitely something where the education side and teaching people that this is not something you're going to do for a month or do for a 10-day shred type of thing and feel better for the rest of your life. This should be something that you do consistently so you live a better, longer life. That's something that stood out. So thank you very much, Jenna.
Thanks.
All right, so our next one up is Maria. And Maria, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Jenna, thank you so much. I feel like you really hit the nail on the head with a lot of what you're saying. It hit home with me personally because you spoke a lot about what prevention is for me. Prevention for me is being able to grow older without the fear of not remembering the people around me anymore. In my family, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my dad's dad, lots of people anyways, have had Alzheimer's or vascular dementia or cancer, all of these really, really intense, crazy diseases that have just been awful. And I've seen a lot of my family members have their nearest and dearest forget them. And I don't ever want to forget my husband. I don't ever want to forget my kids. I don't want them ever to forget to experience that. Anyways, it's just the most awful thing in the world. I'm experiencing it right now with my grandmother. She's just getting lost more and more every time I see her. And so for me, when I've always thought about prevention. I've always thought about taking my vitamins and eating healthy, and it wasn't enough. So I was becoming more and more sick in various ways and on medications. I was told I was going to be on medication for my thyroid my whole life. And so I started looking at, if this is all happening, I am investing in my health. Maybe I need to be investing in a different way. And I started taking Juice Plus. And I got much happier, much more energy. And I got off all of my medications with the help of my doctor. And that was what nutrition did for me. And if that's what it can do for me with something like my thyroid, maybe it'll prevent, maybe it'll prolong me ever getting Alzheimer's, or who knows. But if I can put it off for as long as possible, or possibly never make it happen, every single dollar that I spend to help that is worth it to me. It's everything to me. I don't ever want to put my loved ones through that. And what I've seen my loved ones and what I've gone through, it's really hard. So that's what prevention means to me. And I know that wasn't overly long. I hope that's good.
No, Maria, that was great. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. It's a pretty hard thing to talk about. So yeah, it's something that we all deal with. I imagine one point in our lives that we were told we were likely going to have something because it runs in our family. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if I really like that being said to me. It was just like, well, your parents had it and their parents had it, so you're going to have it. I don't know if I believe in that. And yeah, like you said, every dollar spent for that not to happen is every dollar worthwhile, right? So, no, thank you very much for that, Maria. That was excellent. All right, so so a few things were kind of brought up that I wanted to touch on a little bit more, and one of them was the Tower Garden that Jenna talked about, bringing this into schools. And what the Tower Garden is, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm going to share you a few pictures of this. Where are they? So this is the Tower Garden. This is actually my Tower Garden. And what this is a vertical aeroponic growing system that the Juice Plus company owns. And what the Juice Plus company believes in more than anything is to be able to give power back to the people, to be able to not just give them the power of Juice Plus in the form of fruits and vegetables in the capsule or gummy, but to be able to grow your own food. And I know for me in Canada and owning large dogs, it's a tough time of year to grow. Like, they either doesn't grow very well, or it's too short to really get what I need out of it, or my dogs eat it. So this was really cool to bring in, because this is mine in week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4, and it really gets out of control, and it's good in the right way. because you get to feed your own family. I know I fed my wife and I with a salad every single day for an entire winter last year because this is what we did. So something really neat. So furthermore, the company also offers a high protein, fully comprehensive shake. And what that is, it's all plant-based, and it has what we call your micronutrients, where Juice Plus has the macronutrients, where Juice Plus has the micros, such as your vitamins, your minerals, such as magnesium and your calciums, all that fun stuff. The shakes have your macronutrients, which are your carbohydrates, your fats, and your protein, and it has it in the correct format in such a way where it is high quality. You get what your body needs. So something else that the company offers. So if anything we've talked about tonight had really hit home or something just makes a lot of sense to you, please talk to the person that invited you. And I always like to end these talks with something I love to always tell people, is that there's two types of people on the planet. And the first type are people that they see a problem with their health, and they notice something that they could be doing better to make themselves healthier. And they sit there and go, you know what, I'm going to do that. And they do that. And that's great. It takes a lot of willpower. And it's when you do it, you feel great about yourself because it was all you. The second type of people are the people that wait for something bad to happen, somebody like themselves or somebody they love or somebody close to them around them. They get scared and they go, okay, I have to make a change. And that's great. Now, between the two people, the latter group, the people that wait, heavily overwhelm the people that don't wait. Now, there's a problem because when it comes to health, sometimes you're given a second chance and sometimes you aren't. Sometimes these things can be too late. So I always tell my patients there's no such thing as starting too young when it comes to prevention, but there is such a thing as too late. So we always ask you that if you're going to make a change, make the change for the better and do it quick and do it now. So another comment that came up quite a bit was that the teaching, actually all three of these ladies love to seem to teach people how to get people better and everything like that, to tell people around them. And the teaching and the spreading of this information is truly what our mission is. And our mission is to spread healthy living as far as we can, whether that be teaching people to bring better meals for their kids during ball tournaments or ball games, or teaching their patients how to get better so they don't get into that revolving door and keep coming back into the hospital, or teaching their family members that, like, you know what, just because we're told we were going to get sick in the future, that's not true. We don't have to. We can make a difference for ourselves. Whether it be any of those, we all have a passion to help those around us. And it starts with the ones we love, but it goes so much further than that. So if that's something you're interested in, please, once again, talk to the person that invited you here, because you're here for a reason. If you learned anything, we hope you learned at least one thing tonight, but to understand that this information is for your own health and for your own good. Once again, thank you very much. We do these once a month at the first Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So please, if you know anybody in the future, send them our way. Thanks again.